Allow me to break the silence. Just starting to scratch the surface, yeah. The prophecy is working wonders. You're feeling like you're in the way, but I can't feel a thing.
We are now recording.
Okay.
Please welcome Zachary Daniels, everybody.
Hey, glad to be here.
Thank you for meeting me here on this remote internet connection. And we got Zachary Daniels from the Zachary Daniels Band out. I gotta ask, where'd you get the name?
So, it's actually more or less my name. Daniel is my middle
That
name.
makes sense.
Yep. And when I first started doing music as a solo artist, so my actual last name is Hagen, Hagen, and I used to go under my first and last name. I thought, it's like, if I'm gonna do music, it was like, it's not super creative, but it's my name,
Right.
so why not?
Definitely.
So I did that for a while, and that did not work very well. I would try to make a music page on Facebook, and there'd be people like who would try to add me as a friend thinking it was my music page, and then it'd be, vice versa.
Right.
And I'm like, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
So I stopped doing the solo thing for a while, and I, did bands and stuff, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to try this again. And so, but I'm like, I'm going to try a different name. And I was like, maybe I should go the singer-songwriter route. There's like a bunch of singer-songwriters that they do like their first and middle name.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't really want to do that. So I decided to do like a hybrid of like a stage name with the singer-songwriter thing. And I just added an S on the end of Daniel. And it was like,
right.
Yeah, that's my name now. And then I made I made the band. So
yeah, definitely. Well, honestly, Zachary Daniels Band sounds better just because it just the way it flows. So honestly, that was a good choice, is adding in the S, because, and at the very least, you can be like, well, it's like my band, so like grammar and
right,
grammar base is correct. You got all your grounds covered, and it does because Zachary Daniel Band does sound like a little it sounds it sounds real specific. It makes me think more like you're gonna come out like as a one-man band. You have like a guitar with like sticks in your hands, like just kind of hitting cymbals as you strum and doing weird shit.
Get the bass drum with the backpack and the cymbals and all that.
Yeah. Every time you step, yeah, exactly. You have it hooked up to your feet, so every time you step, it hits the bass drum. And then, yeah, but that's definitely solid. What was the new album called, you said?
So the EP that's coming out, it's called Home, Home. I'm
sorry, go ahead.
What?
I just said I knew it.
but yep, that's it's a 5-track EP, and yeah, it's due to release in December 12th.
Right on. That's awesome. I'm happy people are still able to get some kind of content out there right now. Like, if not for podcasts, I would honestly be I would just be playing video games nonstop because I didn't have anything else like to work on. But this helps so much, knowing that like the first time we shut down, I didn't do anything with it for like a few months just because I just wanted a break from everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we came, and now I had to go in quarantine again for real because I actually had it,
Oh.
and then decided to actually keep working on it at the time. So I got the website pumped out. I only did like a couple episodes in the time frame, but I used the time to get the podcast out or to get the website out and get everything done there and all that. So this will be this will be up on the website, and then currently SoundCloud, and then I'm trying to find some time I can go through and figure out how to do all the Spotify jazz. But yeah, so this will be out here soon. With the new album, how long have you been working on it?
So we've been working on this album for not quite a year, but close to it. We actually started it back in February.
Nice.
Yeah, we
That was like the start of the pandemic. I just realized. Yeah.
Yeah. It was right before lockdown. It was granted, nobody, none of us knew that it was going to happen. So, but it was like, so we started it back in February. We're like, we're gonna get this done. It's only 5 tracks. We'll probably have it out, probably in May or June. No, no, we did not, because we self produced it.
Yeah.
And so we're just like, obviously COVID had other plans for that. And so we finally got, due to lockdown and everything else, we finally got around to getting the last of the parts done. Let's see, what is it? November, back in like September or something like that. Yeah, it was the really funny thing is we had like at least 70% of the album like recorded and ready to mix before lockdown hit. Like we were just like go and then it was just like a screeching halt, brick wall, nothing for like months. And then finally we were able to, like, we got some stuff going and got momentum again.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy.
It's nice to be able to finish it despite everything.
Yeah, no, I imagine, man, because I would, I already know how I would feel if I was 70% into a project like that, like a whole album, and then this happens and then it gets pushed back 8 months. Like, it's insane. That would really. I feel like by now you probably have a slightly different perspective. Are you doubting anything on it? Are you looking back on anything weird while you're currently in like this phase of it?
Actually no. So the one, like, honestly, like, I was thinking about this the other day. If there was any blessing that COVID, or the lockdown, I should say, not specifically COVID, it was due to COVID, but whatever. If there's any kind of thing that the delay brought to this EP, was that it actually allowed us to kind of bring a slightly new perspective to it. It gave us time to tweak things in our recordings. It allowed us to, like, re-record some things if we needed to, and there were some stuff that we did forget initially, and we're just like, oh crap, we totally forgot to do that. Let's get that done now.
Right.
And so it allowed us to just fine tune everything, and instead of just like slapping it together. And granted, I mean, even slapping it together, we're going to do the best job that we could, because we want people to like this record. But but it allowed us to really dig deep, and it's like, well, we've got time, let's get it done. And and so once we got back into everything, we're just like, all right, let's look at everything here and make sure that we got it exactly how we want it. And it, I mean, if anything, it definitely taught me is like, if you want something to sound good, you definitely gotta you don't want to be too nitpicky about things, but you definitely don't want to just slap it together and it's like, all right, cool, we're done, like, there's content. Like, no, you want good content, and that takes time. So
for sure. No, that's exactly the point, though, too, is that there is there is a realm in which short snippets of some kind of content is what is like driving that kind of area, like hence TikTok, or like what Vine was at one point.
Yeah, basically,
you know. And so, but in long form, when it's like a full um artistic or just creative output, it takes a lot of work. I know it can take a lot of work. I've been around um bands and musicians and now a ton of comedians and like actors because I was in theater and whatever for
Okay, nice.
years. And so it's just like you learn and when you take it, I try to take I'm always taking in things that entertain me. And
Hmm.
then I also like to, and I do like to learn fascinating things, but I've also learned that my way of learning those things is like um I guess you could kind of say making fun of them along the way, you know.
Right.
Like it's just what I've, because that's how podcasts have become so handy for me, is
Hmm.
that there's so many over everything, and so I can find something specific. Or there's like a lot of comedians who do podcasts that it's just like sometimes it's funny, sometimes they have like some of them have like real professionals on, and then they
Right.
can ask all the dumb questions and then like be on your level as that guy trying to learn what they're fucking talking about.
Sure.
And so that way you can understand and at least feel like you're on, like you're not ignorant. um and so it's just like that's kind of where I fall, because I'm like, yeah, I don't really, I'm like, yeah, yeah, sure, biology is important, but I'll leave that to people who care about it. I don't care. Like they'll tell me if something's going on that I need to worry about.
Right. And you know, it's funny that you mentioned that, because like I'm actually a theater person myself.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't do a lot of it in like in college or anything like that, but I was in theater all throughout high school. I did like community, like melodramas and all that stuff. So like music, theater, and musical theater are all loves of mine. And so it's like I know exactly what you mean. I'm also a very huge fan of the parody.
Yeah.
I if you ask any of my bandmates, they'll tell you I parody my own shit most of the
Nice.
time. I like we playing and just kind of jamming around, and I'll just like change up lyrics all the time. And
Yeah.
partly it's just to help. It's two major reasons. One, it's or three actually. One, it's fun. It's
Oh yeah.
just
Yeah,
but
it's like musical improv.
exactly, yeah,
You're trying something
it's
out, and that can and I know what I know what you're saying. It can like lead to other things.
yeah.
Yeah.
And but it also, I guess this two and three are kind of joint in really, but it it helps keep the songs fresh. So that way, you know, I'm not just singing the same thing over and over and over and over again. I
Right.
know I can find fresh ways to keep it, you know, keep it up in my head. I don't get burnt out in the same singing the same songs all the time. But to that also to that same degree, it kind of, you know, sometimes when something gets popular, no matter how like mellow somebody can be, you can still kind of get up in your head about things, and it's
100%.
just like, oh, this is getting really big, I'm important. It's like, nah.
No.
I can make fun of myself
Oh yeah. That's good.
and be able to do that. But yeah, so I love doing parodies. I actually last year my keyboardist and I were were asked to do a Christmas parody for holiday parody technically for the radio station Rock 108
Oh
here
yeah.
in Eastern Iowa. And
That's awesome.
because they were wanting, they had a lyrics written for, is a it was a parody of Christmas or Winter Wonderland, but
Yeah.
it's Iowa Wonderland. And so it was like a, you know, some fun Iowa stereotypes and stuff. And I actually kind of had to rewrite part of it
Oh no.
because the original, I guess, was written in like the early '80s, and so there were some
Right.
things in there that was like, you can't say this
Yeah.
anymore.
Oh yeah. I believe that. I totally
Yeah,
believe that. Well, that's
but
kind of like that song, that "Baby It's Cold Outside."
oh yeah,
It's like that song, like when people listen to it today, are like, "Oh man, that song sounds so date rapey." But also when it came out, like in the context, it's literally just a woman. It's like it's like a heavy exaggeration of a woman and a man in a Republican societal like conservative norms, trying to just be coy as fuck, but yet
Yep.
like bat around and be like, well, it's not okay to stay with you, but he insisted, like he insisted so much, like it was like he really
Couldn't say
convinced me.
no.
That's the whole song, but then but it does but it is totally understandable how especially in the modern culture it can listening to that can get a bit uncomfortable
Right.
without real like being in context. So yeah, but it's okay. It all happens. But what were you gonna say before I cut you off there?
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, the their program director who asked me to do it, he like he had sent me the lyrics and everything, and he's like, yeah, if there's anything that you think needs changed, feel free to tweak it. And I'm just like, okay. And then like maybe like the next day I'm like, yeah, I like rewrote half the song, here you go.
Right.
But he liked it,
Hell
thankfully.
yeah.
So, and I just found out they're actually going to be playing it again this year. It basically got holiday syndication. So I was like, yes.
Nice. That's what you want right there.
Yeah.
That's where TV shows make their money. That syndication.
Yeah, that was.
Well, I mean, they make a lot initially, but that's where
Yeah.
that's where all that carry on comes from.
Yeah, that was fun to learn. I was like,
Yeah.
happy holidays to me.
Hell yeah. That's what it has to. Yeah, I wish I could put that on my Christmas list. Syndicate me somewhere and then just fucking let the checks roll in and I can just do this for fun. Yeah, man. Coming to starting music. I assume how do you produce your music?
So, this album was produced by our bass player. Actually, he went to music school in Nashville before coming to UNI to go to school, I don't know if it was like actually music school or he learned music while in Nashville, and so he's just, when he joined the band, he's like, yeah, I do this stuff. I can produce y'all. And I'm like, sweet, let's do it.
Nice.
But
Play
like,
guitar?
yep, I do, for the band, I play acoustic guitar and I do lead vocals. I mean, I'm a multi-instrumentalist. I play a handful of instruments, but for the
Nice.
band, yeah, I play acoustic and I sing. So
Awesome. I figured I should probably know that.
it's all good.
But yeah, very nice. That's awesome. That's I feel like that helps a lot with getting a progressive or a progression in your quality, either your quality or just what you can put out, because having somebody who can do that, because a lot of people often don't know where to start. So having someone who's like, yeah, I got you is excellent.
Yeah, that was nice to have. Our last album, we I guess we outsourced to another one of my buddies, but like he charged us basically.
Right.
And it's still, that album still sounds good in my ears, and we've gotten a lot of compliments on it. You can still find that. It's called Evolve. It's out on Spotify, iTunes, all that junk.
Nice.
And we're very happy with that disc, but it's very nice to have somebody in our camp that's just
Right.
like, yeah, I'll do it. And
Hell yeah.
it's just like, sweet.
Hell yeah. Guys, it's gonna get so much cheaper.
Yeah. Oh, so much cheaper. It was fantastic. Like,
Hell
in
yeah.
a good way, not like you
Right.
get what you pay for kind of thing. Like,
Like in the if you didn't happen to have this connection, it would be real pricey to have
yeah.
have them do it for you. So that's exactly part of it, and that definitely does in some aspects can get of course having like connections can get funky on some levels, but
Right.
when it comes to it just being like he's in the band, so obviously he's gonna produce that. It's not like he's gonna be like, nah guys, I might be in this band, but y'all gotta pay me. Like,
Yeah.
or like even if you do, he's not gonna be like he's like, well, I'm on it, so it's like what, like, and it's my stuff, I'm doing it. That's my thinking anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah. How long have you been playing music now? Did you start? Is it like a whole life thing? Do you have a musical family? Like, is it like that kind of thing, or are you the black sheep?
So I grew up around a lot of singers. My dad's family is all full of singers, and so like I grew up around them a lot.
Right.
And like my immediate family, my dad was the most musical one out of all of us.
Nice.
So like my none of my other siblings like really play any instruments. My older sister sings and stuff, but they didn't really like, not actively, I shouldn't say, like they would strum a guitar every now and again or whatever, but they
Yeah.
didn't actively play any instruments or anything like that. It was mostly just being around my dad's family, and being able to sing, and then it kind of just progressed from there. I've been singing my whole life,
Nice.
but after a while I just kind of progressively started picking up instruments, um, drums, play. I was always that kid that like I'd be hitting on stuff. Like if you played the radio, I would like
Right.
be hitting
Yeah.
on the beat or whatever. And I apparently annoyed my parents to just the degree that like, you know what, let's have them annoy us some more. And they bought me a drum set when I was in middle school, and got me lessons and everything. And I'm just like, I'm very grateful for those people,
Hell yeah.
for that. And that progressed to bass guitar, which progressed to like acoustic guitar acoustic / electric guitar.
Yeah.
And drums and bass are the only two instruments that I have any formal training in. I guess I've taken some voice lessons, but as far as like physical instruments go, drums and bass are the only two instruments I've had any formal training in. Acoustic guitar, I'm fully self-taught. I just taught myself how to play chords and everything. I just took some of the training I took some of my bass training and just like transferred it to guitar.
Yeah.
And
That's way to go.
acoustic guitar has pretty much become my main instrument. It gripped my soul and never let go. I can't
Hell
get
yeah.
away from.
That's fucking awesome, man. Yeah, that's that, and that's what, and that's a pretty natural crossover too, is bass and guitar, because
Yeah.
they complement each other, so well, and so is, and even in the way you play it and everything. But it's just a much more simple note individually. It can
Right.
obviously get very complex, but it's more set
Mhm.
in the individual note harmonies instead of like a full chord and all that. So.
Right.
So it's just kind of like so it's not that different, and so a lot of people, I like to tell them like, yeah, you can, if you learn one, it's a lot easier to learn two, so you have a lot more realm of possibility if you're interested in learning an instrument. That one has some good crossover, and then obviously you can kind of use, and then if you like figure it out, you can kind of use that same crossover for a ukulele and all that shit. So
Mhm.
it's got all, so yeah, so it's just all about getting into that. So yeah,
Right.
that's yeah, that's why I think more people should just take the shot, get in there.
Yeah. No,
You know?
I completely agree. Learning an instrument is fantastic. The one thing that I will say is I found this out the hard way, by the way. Ukulele is surprisingly a lot more difficult, or a lot more different from a guitar than I thought, because
Really?
the notes are tuned completely different. Like on a bass, the notes are the same as a guitar. There's
Right.
just less of them. I mean, on a
Yeah.
standard bass anyway, not like
Right.
5 or 6 string. But because I remember, like, I have a little sister, and she was wanting a ukulele for Christmas one year, and my mom's like, yeah, maybe Zach can teach you how to play. And I'm like, no, I can't, because I do not know the notes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm just gonna tell you that right
Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah, it is different. Now that you say it, yeah, I haven't thought about it really, but that is a good point, because for anyone who doesn't know, the strings on ukulele are set up very weird. It's like you get the lowest strings normally on the top, and it goes lowest to highest. You travel along that path, but this one is like, this one jumps around. It's you got your bit, you got like third, then lowest, and then second, and then the highest, or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really weird.
it's set up weird.
I've got a couple friends who like ukuleles their main instrument, so I like they shown me a couple of things, but I'm just like, no, I would have to like really sit down and try to figure out how all these chords are. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
my brain isn't wired this way. How
Yeah,
can you do
exactly.
this?
Yeah, it's like mix it. It's like they just. It's like they're the descrambles of guitar chords.
Yeah,
Is a you gotta mix it. Yeah, they're all mixed up, and you gotta figure out what it is.
I can play so many other stringed instruments, and this is the one that gets me. What the?
Oh yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah.
So then how was life coming up in general? Was
Um,
yeah you got high anxiety kind of thing? You're always on edge, or is you're like pretty average, like it's whatever?
so life for me overall has like growing up was fine. I grew up in a middle class household, and in a small town. I grew up in a small town in Buchanan County. It's farming town, so um, nothing super. I mean, I wasn't like, I guess up until my junior senior year, I wasn't like the most popular kid in school, but I got, I did fine. I grew up as a normal kid,
Right.
and all that stuff. Nothing, nothing super traumatic. Lately, I have been, like, for the past couple of years, I have been dealing with clinical depression and some minor anxiety, stuff like that. A lot of it stemming from back in 2016, my dad passed away. So a lot of it stems from that, and then just like life pressure in general doesn't help
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
And so some of that does come through in music. Music helps to alleviate a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not the greatest person when it comes to storytelling. I'm very wordy, as I'm
Right.
sure anybody listening right now probably has already guessed. Um,
It's all good, man.
but it's a trait I already know about myself. I tried to work on it. It hasn't gone away.
Right. Yeah.
At this point I'm like, yeah, it's just me, whatever.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
I mean,
but
I
but mu-
I yeah I
but
let well oh sorry no, I didn't
no,
mean to cut you off there.
you're
I
fine.
but no, it's just like I love the you do have like, even with that you do have I can tell a love for the music, and then even in rambling I'm like I I realize when people are passionate about something they can like talk about it forever. And
Mhm.
and that's actually what I'm looking for is the honesty, because like I when people will like I've messaged people and they'll be like, sorry for the long answer. I'm like, I prefer that one. It's the actual, it's the real one. It's
Right.
like it's the opposite of I'm fine. In that whole gambit. But
Mhm.
um, so that's part of it. And then so I it never bothers me, but I get that people tend to when we're much younger. Okay, a lot of us come across those people who are like, "How do you talk so much?" And then it makes us self conscious or something, and so
Mhm.
then that always happens. But but you have a very but I mean, like, you got a positive demeanor about it, and so then that's like another reason though where I'm like, yeah, you actually enjoy doing what you're doing. It's like
Right.
this is like part of the promotion aspect, and so I'm like, the part of the reason I started this podcast is to be like, you know what, I'm very early in. I'm a stand-up comedian. Like, I'm
Mhm.
just like, I like this is what a lot like pretty much every one of us do on some level. Like,
Sure.
there's yeah, I will agree. There's too many podcasts, including in where I live, and but it's like but I just kind of do it because I'm like, at the very least, I'm gonna have on like all the comedians. I'm not picky. I'm not choosy, and it's not like something specific I'm doing with my friends. I'm like, I'm trying to get to know the community. I'm trying to get to know performers and musicians and
Mhm.
magicians and comedians, and like and so I have them all on because I'm like, I actually want to get to know where everybody's coming from. I want to kind of get to know them so I can kind of see where they're going, um, kind of see where they've been, because we have comedians who've been doing it for a whole range of years, and it's just like,
Mhm.
you know, some people I've have been doing it since like 2005 or like 2008 or something, and then like they're still in Des Moines, and like, you know, or like you know, it's not, like sometimes you're like, well, at this point you should be like really killing, but it's like hard to be at a weird. Is that we were like, I mean, obviously we're in a weird position for like the last year, but
Right.
you know, it's like you see a dude. I literally, I literally met up with one of my. Well, I didn't really meet up with him. He was just at the open mic
Mm-hmm.
this last Tuesday, and I was talking to him, and there was a couple of us talking, and and he's like an older, kind of an older guy. I think he's just like 40s, 50s, and he said he had been doing comedy since 2005, and he's not that funny, but like he's a good guy and he's nice, and so it's like no one really cares.
Right.
But I literally was like, man, I thought you'd be funnier. It's like like out loud, but and then you know, which made the other comedian be like, I wasn't gonna say it, and then he's you know, then but the guy I call out, he's like, I agree, you know, I really should be. And I'm like, it's not, but it's like it's not his main thing. Like he has a life around it, so
Mm-hmm.
it's like, you know, it's like that's not his job, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
He just does it for fun, and you know, he's trying to be original, at least at
Yeah.
the very least, and he's not a writer. Doesn't matter. He's just having fun. But like there are other cases. It's just like you see people who are like doing cool things, and they've been doing it a while, and they're trying new stuff, and you just see all their progress being hindered by COVID, or you know, occasionally by a little laziness, which we're all guilty of from time to time.
Oh, I hear that.
And so it's just a part of the whole thing. But that's why I do, you know, that's why I do this, man. I'm like, I can introduce some performers and artists to the podcast realm, because that's where a ton of actual that's where tickets are really being sold
Mm.
on the grand scheme these days. Because like, you know, there's all kinds of comedians who be like, yeah, I did morning radio, anybody hear from that? And no one will ever raise their hand. And so I'm like, why am I doing this? And so it's just a part. It's something that's being phased out. Is that, and plus podcasts are can be and normally are completely uncensored, and
Mhm.
just like free speech, and it sounds more like you're listening into a conversation. So it's like, you know, you can get real answers out of people, and you know, it's just it's a more real thing. And so on some level, you know, it's just uh, scratching the itch everybody had from all the fakeness that normal media was putting out for us. You know,
Yeah. No, it's pretty fantastic that you're doing this. I actually, so I've run my fair share of like of open mics and stuff like that for musicians and comedians alike. And yeah, it's definitely like, I mean, right now with COVID and everything, things are definitely weird, but
oh
um,
yeah,
especially like pre-COVID. So, you know, like 2019 PC
yeah,
pre-COVID.
right,
We or like, you know, previously it was always cool to see artists of uh all different styles, you know, just trying their own thing. And it's like you can always tell, like you can tell the ones that are like they're super serious, 'cause it's like I do this for a career, and they're
yeah,
like, but like they're still super cool about it.
yeah,
Like they're really good at their stuff, and you can tell. But then it's like even but then there's like the guys. It's like, yeah, I just, you know, I got my 9 to 5, but I just do this to blow off steam. And but it's like
yeah,
they still try really
uh-huh.
hard, even if they're like you said, like with your example, like the guy's like, yeah, he's not that good, but he has a good time doing it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
screw it, like, you
Uh,
know. um but yeah, podcasts are definitely the up and coming thing right now when it comes to a lot of different things. This is not why I came on the show, but I'll mention it anyway. I actually run a podcast of my own. It's more of
nice.
a, yeah, it's more of an audio drama,
Yeah,
really. Like it's like a radio show,
that's
like
cool.
um
I like that.
and so but we definitely really like it because it
What's it called?
runs. It's
Plug
called
it.
it's called Wasteland Active Radio. It's based on the Fallout video games. Um,
Cool.
yeah, and I produce that one. Like, I mean, we have four, counting myself, we have like 4 people that are quote unquote full-time. It's a non-paying thing, but like they're like full-time cast members, and then we pick guests every now and again to come on and play different characters. It's not like a guest like I'm guesting on your show right now or stuff like that, but like we'll give them a script and be like, there you go, and then they'll record their own stuff at home. Most of us record our own stuff at home, and then they just send it to me via like Google Drive or whatever. And I
almost wish this was I almost wish I did put out the video for this podcast, because it would have been, and then like had seen that coming, and known you had those, because I would have told you, like, when you say that, you should in the camera like look like you're glaring at someone off screen. Like, it's unpaid.
I told you, I'm not giving you your $20.
We got people on here full time, but it's not paid. They just work because it's fun.
No, that would have been hilarious. But yeah, so like I know what you're talking about with the podcast, because ours is completely uncensored as well. We swear all the time.
Yeah.
On that, like we try to keep it like tasteful, but it definitely happens. I got my cohort, as I like to call him. He does all of the writing, and so I was just like, yeah, you do your thing, man, and you send the thing my way when you're done. If there's any glaring, errors, I'll let you know, but otherwise you just do your thing. And then he kind of just lets me do my thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And it works out well. So, but
right.
Yeah, so
Hell
that's another thing we have in common is
big time. That's dope, man. I'll have to check that out. Where are you on? You got a website? Are you on like the streaming platforms? Are you on SoundCloud? What's the deal?
We're pretty much everywhere. wastelandactiveradio.com is our website. And we have most of our episodes up on there. But I gotta get more of those uploaded. I'm sometimes not good at uploading to that website, but we're also on like Spotify, iTunes, or like Apple Podcasts rather, Google Podcasts, YouTube. So
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, go check. So we got that. Everybody listening, you can check that out. Got the EP, all kinds of content. Other than go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I keep myself busy.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, that's what's up, man. That's very important right now. During the first shutdown, where I had like 3 months off work, and I literally just I had gotten a Switch for Christmas, and I was like, I mean, it was one of those things where, like, honestly, this is all I want. And then it turned out to be a very wise investment, because I ended up playing that like crazy. I got like the Super Smash for it. So like, I mean, so people listening, if you're interested in like Super Smash or Animal Crossing, even, because like my friends got me into that. Hit me up. I'll get you my friend code. But I just knocked out most of the story on Super Smash, and then played the shit out of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Nice. I love me some LOZ. So that's...
Yeah, it's fantastic. And so I just got Hyrule Warriors, which is like the pre-game to Breath of the Wild. So I'm the prequel, but it's post. So
right.
It just came out, but it plays very differently. Just as a heads up to anybody, it plays very differently. It's not.
Yeah, I need to get that one yet.
That's a good one. But yeah, that's kind of what I did with a lot of my time, and I just like slacked off from this. But how's COVID been for you overall? What's like? Did you have kind of maybe a time sort of like that? Has it been just kind of boring overall? What's your story?
So overall, it hasn't been bad. So like my job, once the lockdown kicked in, like my full-time job had us moved everybody home. Nice. So like I'm a customer service rep that I work primarily through emails instead of like a phone call center kind of thing.
There you go.
And so like they just had us all pack up our computers, and it was like, send you home. And I was like, all right, cool. Yeah. So yeah, I work from home right now. And Yeah, it's not bad. So my personality overall, as far as extroversion versus introversion, is weird because
Yeah.
I like to keep to myself when I can. I'm actually I always tell people like I'm like 60 to 65% introvert, the rest extrovert.
Right.
I'm not quite an omnivert. I'm not 50-50, but it's like I like to keep to myself and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I also like the option of being social.
Uh-huh.
So like when I'm not around people, it's like yeah, like it's when I'm not around people and it's very quiet, after a while I get really like in my head about things. I'm just like,
For
I
sure.
need to talk to somebody. So
Yeah. Oh
um
yeah.
like when I'm working at home, most of the time it's fine. Like I'll just like throw on like a YouTube video or something and just pretend that somebody's in the room with me. But every now and again it's like, yeah. So like a month or two ago, they actually, when our numbers had gone down a little, they had in Iowa, they were like, hey, we're, if your situation at home isn't the best and you want to for whatever reason and you want the opportunity to move back to the office, let us know. And I'm like, yeah, sure,
There
like
you
I'll
go.
take that.
Yeah.
And so, and they approved it and everything. And because I had just moved and stuff, and I had like just got all my stuff set back up for work, and it was working fine for for the most part. But I was like, if I have the opportunity to go back, I'm gonna go back. And then
Yeah.
they and I did that for a couple of months, and then I actually had my own COVID scare.
Oh boy.
um yeah, one of my close friends that I hang out with a lot was like, hey, my sister had a contact with somebody who was COVID positive,
Ugh.
and it's like we've been hanging out a lot, or me and her have been hanging out a lot lately, and I've been hanging out with you. You should probably, like, I just wanted to let you know. I'm like,
It's a lot.
no.
This is like,
So
I feel like this is a good break-in period to let everybody know kind of what it's like to have to give someone a call that they might have given them an STD or something.
yeah,
It's like, cause that's what you gotta do is you gotta call the people you're with and be like, so bad news. I
that's
was with people who had COVID, so you want to get yourself tested.
I felt like that. I was like, dude, you give me crabs or something? Like, don't,
Yeah.
like, I'd rather you tell me that. I'm straight. I'm not gonna, it's whatever. But I'm just like, dude, I'd rather you tell me that than COVID. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I locked myself down just to be like, I wasn't showing symptoms, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not gonna take a risk. So like any of my projects that I had coming up that like involved people, I'm like, hey, we gotta reschedule. I gotta
Yep.
quarantine. And I even told my boss, I'm like, this happened. I'm gonna quarantine. I'm gonna stay back home and work from home
Yep.
for the next 2 weeks. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So because it's a COVID situation, that's fine. And like I was working from home again, and I got about a week in, and the original, like the source, we'll call it the source of the potential contact, messaged me and they're like, hey, so like I'm sure that my brother told you about this. And I'm like, yeah, he did. And he's like, okay, well, I wanted to let you know that I got tested for COVID, and that it turned out to be negative. So I'm like, sweet.
Sweet.
So
Sweet.
like, yeah, if the source is clear, that means I'm clear,
Yeah.
more than likely.
Right.
So I'm like, cool.
Hell yeah.
So I went back to the office and I realized this sucks. Like I think that, combined with the fact that they had, because there's so few people back at the office,
Uh-huh.
the upper management keeps in tabs with all of us and lets us know like if somebody was tested positive for COVID-19
Right.
that is also in the office and stuff, so we can all be aware and know what's going on, which I actually think is cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we've gotten like 3 of those.
Oof.
And so, like, I mean, no fault to the folks at the office. They're doing everything they can. It's just
Right. Yeah.
whomever. But
It's just
we
always
got
worrisome.
right.
Yeah.
But we got like 3 of those, and I'm like, you know what? All things combined, I'm just gonna stay home.
Yeah.
So they approved me to start working back from home, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna suck again in a couple months, but I'm really happy I'm not gonna have to drive to the office in the winter when it starts snowing.
Exactly. That's a huge perk. And then at the same time, like now you don't got to worry about being around people who you can't
Mhm.
control their lives, so you don't know who they're going to be around. So it's just like
Exactly.
just stay away from it. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing right now. Like I my my job, um, all credit to him. Like when as soon as like I got it and then like people got it, then it was like their sign like we gotta really we should probably like at least enforce something like with something here. And so like they
Right.
finally are like, all right, you can be like in your stall without a mask or whatever because like you're all gonna be far enough apart typically. But then because we're all at least 6 feet apart for like where no matter where you are because you're just around that little car.
Mm.
But then if you're gonna be walking around anywhere, you gotta be wearing your mask. So I was like, all right, yeah, that's fine. And so,
Right.
but it was this thing where the first time I thought I was like, yeah, I might have been exposed. I'm getting tested. They're like, all right, we'll just come in. We'll keep you in the back. It's like then I got it. Yeah, they're like, you're away from people back there. Like it doesn't really matter because I'm like, as far as the garage goes, I'm right by the door, which is on the like to the garage, which is on the opposite side of the door into the building,
Hmm.
just the people door.
Right.
And um, and so I'm like way back there, and like I'm in the wash bay, and so it's like got a wall dividing me from the other ones to prevent water from flying across the shop, and so
Mm.
um it's one of those things. I'll just keep you in the back. And then I got my second COVID scare, so I got tested again. And I was like, because admittedly, I'm currently living at home. It was just a whole thing where like I had shitty roommates, had to move out really quick, and then was here and was like looking for places. Then COVID happened, and I lost my job for a while.
No,
So I was
that
like, well, I
sucks.
guess I'm here for a while. And so
It's a roof over your head, man. No
yeah,
shame.
exactly. So, but it was just, and I'm always like, I'm always prefacing because I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like, there's like two narratives that are out there, and I'm like, just trying to say like,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever. But so
No, I
I'm like,
get it.
but again, then later I'll be thinking to myself like, why the fuck do I even care? Like, I don't know. And so like, I'm not consistent. But like I know, like later I'll be like, oh yeah, duh. But right now I'm just gonna right now we'll just move past it.
Yeah.
I like to, but like I'm here, and it's just the thing where like my mom manages. Well, I have to help them out a lot because my brother
Hmm.
has a kid, and so she's over here a lot.
Gotcha.
She's like 1.5 and
Hmm.
a handful, and so it's like they kind of need my help a lot with that. And so I'm like, well, I guess it's kind of good I'm here, and then I help out as I can, whatever.
Sure.
But it's a thing where like I'm around them, and my mom manages the bar that my grandma owns in Webster City,
Hmm.
and she probably caught, and we're thinking she caught it from there. And so since she got it, like I got it, and then my dad got it, and my brother got it. We're pretty sure his wife had it, and this is my younger brother, and I'm only 25, and and then I'm pretty sure our dogs got it. It was just like rampant through my family, and then like everybody in the comedy scene started getting it, and then like everybody that I've like been talking to like in my family has been getting it. There was like an outbreak in Webster City finally after months. It was crazy. It was like very tiny. It was like 66 people, which is like a lot, but not a lot. It's just like it's like it's a weird number, but
Right.
um, so it was just it's been ramping up, man, for real. So it's just and it's nuts, but it was. But then again, like I was alright, but then I actually got it. But then I was like, I told my boss about that my mom had got it, so I was gonna go get tested. And he was like, "Oh, go ahead, come in. We'll keep you in the back." And then I was in there doing my thing, and then turned out I was at work for a little while, and then in fact he was reminded because he already knew I lived at home, but he forgot
Hmm.
and assumed that I was living on my own. And then one of the other employees reminded him that I lived at home, and he was like, "Okay, so we're gonna send you home." And I was like, "See." And so
It's
like
like
the
I
whole time
told you.
I was like, at least I don't have to wear a mask anymore for the rest of the day anymore. It's just like this gets annoying wearing it for like hours at a time.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah. So I was like, that's a perk. And so then I had like two. Then I had 2 weeks and 2 days off work to quarantine. I got over it. And that was all this month. And at the start of the month, I wrecked my car, lost my license. Fucking my dog died.
Jeez, you've just had no luck in November. It's
yeah. Guess
holy
when my
crap,
birthday?
dude.
Guess when my birthday was? November 17th. So it was.
Oh.
So all that happened, and then my birthday.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, happy belated birthday.
Well, thank you. I just like. I don't know why I've been talking. I've been talking about it so much, but I've just like it was crazy how much happened within like the first week of November. But it was but also my dog was, it was like my dog was just natural causes, and he was a Chihuahua, and he was like fucking 17
Oh, okay.
or something. So he was like he lived probably longer than any Chihuahua normally
Yeah.
would. Like it was
Sounds
his
like he
time.
lived a good long life. So that's.
Oh yeah, he was comfortable for sure. But yeah, it's just sad. But it is what it is. But yeah, I have have you been up to you've been watching anything kind of what have you been doing to kind of fill free time now that you're home? Have you picked up any new hobbies, or you've been binge watching TV shows or something?
So yeah, I play a lot of video games, and I watch a lot of Netflix and stuff. I'm a big fan of like I'm a big fan of like Family Guy and Bob's Burgers, so I've been keeping up with them through Hulu
yeah.
and stuff like that.
Right.
But I have, like, as far as the gaming goes, I've picked up Fallout 76 again.
Nice.
I played that game from the beginning. I was part of the beta and everything like that, but I fell off pretty hard for a while because there was a lot of problems, and I just it just wasn't that fun.
Yeah.
But they like with the recent updates and everything, it's gotten a lot better, at least in my eyes. And so I'm like, yeah, I'll try it. I'll try it again. And it got me sucked back in. So I've been playing that a lot.
That happened with me in Skyrim, because they released because like I loved it originally, but then they released like the Xbox One version where it was like it looks so much better, and it doesn't. And I was like, that's so cool. And then they added it, but then it obviously, like, getting that version means you have then all the DLCs,
right?
All the like the blah blah blah, and it's always funny thing because it looked better, and I could mod. It had like just a section in the start menu for mods. And all that, and so you didn't have to like go outside of it, or you couldn't only do it on PC or something.
Right.
And,
yeah.
So, but then it always makes me laugh thinking back to my friend Brandon, who was in love with the game, got it, played most of the way through, if not beat it. I think he beat it a couple times, but then he would like start it, and then he would start it over, and then he lost the game, and then he lost the game disc after playing through it a couple times. Bought a brand new one, and at the time it was like for forever it was still like basically $60, and so he bought like, and so at that point he spent like $120 on this game, and then they came out with all the DLCs, which in total came out to $30. So then he bought those, which was so now he's at $150. And then shortly after that they came out with Skyrim Legends, which just was $60 for everything. And so so it's like, man, if you would have just waited, it would have only been
Bethesda all your money.
They really got him.
Yeah.
They found a way to get him, but I'm sure they got a lot of people. But yeah.
Fun fact, I have never actually beaten Skyrim.
I haven't either. I've put in like
I really like that game, but
I put in 40 hours I think I put in 80 hours even at one point, and I still didn't beat it. And I was like, there's so much.
I still remember when that game
breaking up on me.
At least I guess at the time, like most of them are my age or slightly younger, and so I was like, we'd be doing our stuff or whatever, and they'd be like, "Hey, Zach, you play Skyrim yet?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got it. Like, I got it like 2 weeks ago, and I've been playing it a lot." It's like, "How many shouts you got?" None. No, Like I'm a side quester all the way. And
That's
so
crazy.
like it's like, how many shots you got? How many dragons you killed? None. But I run the Mages Guild, the Fighters Guild. I have all these other
Right.
weapons. I'm doing all this other
Yeah.
stuff. Like I only continue with the main quest when I'm bored. Like
Yeah, dude, that was what was that's one of the things that makes that game so much fun is like they have side quests that feel like their main quests, and so because like my favorite one was the werewolf fucking guild, the companions or whatever. So
yeah.
I would always get that one done pretty quickly when I would start the game, and then I would just use, and then I would do the werewolf like it's sometimes when I first did it, I would like never use the werewolf. I'd be like, what is this good for? And then I realized it's just like for fun.
Yeah.
Like, do it for fun. You just transform. It doesn't matter. And then like then they started adding in that you can be a vampire and doing all that stuff. And I was like, they have so many new levels to this that I'm like, if I couldn't finish the game before, I'm gonna have to really commit to this.
The Vampire Lord transformation, when they came out with that,
Yeah.
I jumped at it. Which was crazy in my circle, because I have always been an adamant opponent of, I guess you could say, of the vampires in like Skyrim and Oblivion and Elder Scrolls in general, because as far as I've been concerned, they're pretty much pointless. It's like like you get you get the disease, and it just like basically like unless you constantly feed it, just like it just holds you down. There was one point I got it and I could not feed for the life of me. It would like every time, even if it was in the middle of the night, I would sneak into people's houses, and my sneak skill was pretty good. I would sneak into people's houses and they'd immediately wake up, and like I had an entire town chasing after me one time. I'm like, listen, I'm just gonna reload a previous save. I don't care how far back I have to go.
Get out of here.
But then like the Vampire Lord thing came out, and it was like, oh, you mean you fixed a lot of the problems with vampires and I can transform into this badass looking thing? Yeah, sign me up.
Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was a lot of fun when I saw that when he's just like glides everywhere. Oh yeah, it's fantastic. That was perfect too, because like they've had the werewolf the whole time, but they needed that like opposing. Because I mean, like you got all the elves and shit, but it wasn't like you didn't have like a monster. Like it was just werewolves sometimes, which is fun.
Right.
But then when they got the vampires, and I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They should have both aspects to it. But yeah,
right.
That's one of the greatest video games ever made, in my opinion. I've logged many hours of just sitting in the basement on that one.
I'm gonna have to go play that when we're done with it. Done here now.
It's very tempting afterward.
Yeah.
Like, I should probably, I gotta get some editing done and all that. I'm like, maybe I'll revisit that. Yeah, man. I got a couple more things here to get to. First off, while we're talking about just going off of previously being on COVID, what is something, because I feel like everyone's getting a new perspective on things kind of in general right now. A lot of things are happening. With people that is kind of affecting how they are aware that the world works, and so whether that be the pandemic and being locked down, or Epstein, or aliens, or fucking whatever it is, it's like there is so much that has happened this year. Is there something that you would like to see as far as maybe like a change in like general society coming out of this?
That's good question. I think one of the biggest things for me personally that I would like to, like, just my own opinion, what I like to see is I would definitely like to see a higher appreciation for small business, because overall they've been getting the shaft through all this, especially like in Iowa. Like I personally think, like, I think that to a degree, like a lockdown or distancing out is a good idea, because we definitely need to keep, like, our numbers suck right now, and we need to do something. But at the same time, like, this whole thing has kind of been this whole thing has been hurting the economy, and the like small businesses have been getting the major shaft through all of this, while big corporations are still reaping benefits. And granted, like corporations have the building sizes, they have the space and everything like that. They can accommodate, while some small businesses can't. But at the same time, like, it's definitely, don't take your small businesses for granted. Mom and pop shops and all that stuff, they are a stronger aspect to the economy and to society than you think. And a lot of them are like your friends and neighbors, and they deserve support. I know, like, this year, for like because it's Christmas is coming up. This year for Christmas, I actually went on there and started buying most of my Christmas presents from there, because they're all they're handmade stuff. There's some really cool stuff on there. Like, I've got a couple friends that have Etsy shops, so I always heard about it, but I'm like, I'm gonna go on there and really look. And like, there's a lot I saw some stuff, I'm like, why have I never seen this before? This is fantastic.
I totally agree with that. That's like the kind of place people have have the idea of, like, I would love to see this somewhere, and then they go like, I can make it, and then the Etsy page comes into play. And a lot of people would like to see that, and so that's where Etsy really comes in handy.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
So that's out of anything, any kind of improvement to society that would come out of this, is I don't, like, if you're, support your small business friends, or even if they're not your friends, you could hate the person and still support. Like, if they have a small business and their small business does not involve hurting people, help them.
Yeah, exactly. I agree, man. That's definitely a big thing that we got to be aware of, because that's how the scene stays alive as well. If you're a performer and that sort of thing, that's how you're able to keep your scene alive and be able to actually polish your craft and work on it and everything, is if these places that you work it out at stay open. So like it was like, for me, it's Lefties and Java Joe's and Teehee's Comedy Club and Mother's Pub and Time Out from time to time and all that. So it's like all these places between Ames and Des Moines, that I go to do comedy. It's like I need all those places. It's like, it's good having all these available places to try stuff out, because it's like the more the merrier, and then I can get more reps in, practice more, and then get better. So it's like, if they all close down, it's like there's a lot of people who exited the scene when this started, and they haven't been back. It's like, and then some of them have like paid a couple visits here and there, but there's a lot of people just not coming out.
Yeah, and on the music side of things, like there are in general, I suppose, and in this point, in general, there's a lot of, most venues are small businesses. Like you have your major ones, like your big arenas and stuff like that, but that are supported by like Ticketmaster and all these other big companies. But most people's favorite venues, small businesses, like up here in Cedar, like Waterloo, Cedar Falls, like we have like the Octopus in Cedar Falls. They're still open as a bar, but right now, as far as I'm aware, like I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. They're not booking right now, because it's like they just got opened back up. It's still not really safe. And then you have like Spicoli's. Now I actually work for Spicoli's. I'm their social media operator. And and we actually had to. Yes, I do. Yeah. I love Dot. He's a cool guy.
I worked with him before.
Nice. Yeah. But we were working on a collab at one point. That's kind of been put on the back burner for right now, as things are crazy.
Yeah.
But with Spicoli's, we had to close for a little bit. We had to close our old building because of pandemic. Pandemic kind of put the final nail in the coffin. There was a lot of things that were like, the building was falling apart. They happened to be doing construction like right next to our building, so it cut off a lot of the traffic. And then pandemic came in. It was just like, okay, we can't survive. We can't do
Right.
this. So, but we've gone into kind of into a bunkered state. That's actually kind of what we call it. A lot of our stuff is in storage right now. We have this big warehouse, and we actually call it the bunker because that's kind of where we're hunkering down right now. And we've been doing live streams of bands and stuff. We have a big enough space where we can social distance, and we've been doing musical live streams. My band, or at least part of my band, has done a couple live streams with them before. We do it on YouTube and Twitch. We were doing it on Facebook before Zuckerberg decided he wasn't fun anymore.
Fuck that.
Yeah, right. And but we've been doing a lot of that stuff, and we're hoping, like, we still rely on people's support for that, because support your venues, man.
100%.
Don't take them for granted, because before if you do that, they'll be gone, and then you'll be like, well, now what am I going to do on a Saturday? Like, I can't go see live music because I didn't like it, or I didn't take it seriously before.
Yeah, man, that's the thing too, is right now we have a lot of people who in the pandemic are going, you know what, this isn't worth it, and they're getting out of the entertainment. And then there's people who are like, this is something I've always been interested in, let's try it. So they're being replaced by like newcomers, and so and so there's been some new additions to the scene, and then there's been a lot of exodus at the same time. And so it's just like, when the whole thing starts up again, the amount of comedians in this place is going to be insane. Like, it's going to be so many. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot more comics here than normal, and so hopefully having multiple mics to spread them out in is going to be ideal. But the hardest one to get on when there's a ton of comedians is always Teehees, because that's the actual comedy club, and so that's like the one where everybody goes to even now. The other mics happening will be empty, and then everybody will be at Teehees, like, including actual people who aren't comedians. So that's where we end up. And speaking of streaming, actually, we just had our most recent, I think this will probably come out next week, but probably on Tuesday. So then last week, we had a live stream on Wednesday. It was from the Lefties Live Music, both venue and through their page. So if anyone listening is interested, you can still watch it. It was more of a unique show. We had special guests, and it was like it was a little improv. We had Joshua Gladstone, Dave Kilbride, Hoover Patterson, and Belial the Brutal, a demon. So that was a lot of fun. You can go check that out. And then this will actually probably be, and then I got one more question for you. I forgot what the actual transition was into it, but you can go watch that. And then I tried to figure out a musical guest. It never showed up, but no, I'm just kidding. It was in case you heard it. I wanted to mess with him, but he just wasn't available. But it was but maybe next time. So it was but it was a good time. And so I'm always looking for people to do new stuff on that. It's a lot of fun. There was a lot of stuff I couldn't do because people weren't available, but what do you do around the holidays in a pandemic?
Right. Holiday schedules are bad enough.
Yeah, exactly. It's impossible to plan anything around this time, I swear. But we'll end on one more question and then plugs to make sure we get everything out there. But do you have any, especially being in music? I'm tending to find I'm kind of falling behind a bit lately. But do you have any guilty pleasures in music? Like, I've gotten some fun answers from it, so I keep asking. Like, I had a comedian on named Muhammad. He told me he kind of liked Hannah Montana. He's like from Africa. It was fantastic. It was a real fun one. But anything come to mind?
There's nothing wrong with liking some Hannah Montana. Hey, her shit's catchy, man. But I don't know if this is necessarily a guilty pleasure, because I'm actually not guilty of it at all, but
Yeah.
it is a pleasure that nobody, most of, at least most of my friends when they first meet me, know about me or can guess. I am a giant. I actually mentioned this a little bit earlier. I am a big Broadway musical fan. Um, I'm also a very big fan of. I'm also a very big fan of Disney.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Show tunes all the way.
I
And
admittedly, I that's something I never bring up when I'm listening music I like, but honestly, I kind of get into it. Like I was a big metalhead in high school, but but even on the background, I'd still be like, yeah, I kind of like, I'll be part of Les Mis, you know, like whatever. I wasn't, but they
I'm a
didn't want me.
I I'm a giant fan of it. Rent is one of my biggest faves
There you
on my
go.
list. I recently found out that my new roommate is also a big fan of Rent. I'm like, yes, like we have something
There
else
you
to
go.
talk about.
Hell yeah.
But yeah. So I'm one of those guys where like I'll just like if you give me the aux cord, there's probably some show tunes on my playlist, and I will belt them out with like
Yeah.
Rent, Wicked, all those ones. Just like
Yeah, that
like
was one of
just
the
get
yeah, that's one of the things I love about Family Guy too, is like the fact that that was like the lane that they took with all their songs, and their
oh
intro
yeah
was show tune style soundtrack. So it was like subconsciously classing it up, as Seth MacFarlane would say. And so it's like, yeah, it got me. It was like because I watched it when I was young, and I like silly stuff. Like I've always
Mm.
liked feeling smart and like an intellectual, so I watch like all that shit too. But it's like I also love being silly, and so that's why I loved the cartoons like Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy and like Invader Zim's, because I like dark but like silly, and so it was just kind of like, and so like as I have like a twistedness, but also
Sure.
like I like to know things, because I at the very least don't want to be like ignorant.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm like at the same time like, yeah, I'm dumb, but like there are things that I know more about than you know, and so like, you know, and so it's like, but so then I'm smarter than you on that.
Right.
It's like and like you can put yourself together and like dress yourself and like take care of yourself, so I assume you're smart enough. But like what but yeah, it's just like, and people, it's like I've got to this point now where I'll hear like, I don't know, someone will post something or say something, is like it's just been happening a lot where people be like, yeah, but they're dumb, and I'm like, yeah, but they're worth like $500 million. Like what, like you work is somewhere in Des Moines, and I don't know what you do. That's the difference. Like maybe they're dumb, but they were pretty smart about what they did. I don't know.
Right.
You know, it's like I don't know. That's my perspective, because I just hate people being like hateful and fucking being
Yeah.
bullies. It's like, why are you living your life being like, yeah, but I'm smarter than them. Where's my ticket? Like, it's not coming. Don't worry. Like, you should find something else to be happy about in life if this is your attitude. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just it's dreadful.
It's
Yeah,
like,
it's
yeah,
a
you might be smarter than them in a general sense, but they were smart enough to know how to use the knowledge that they have.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And it's fucking subjective. Like the whole, like, I mean, like if like Forrest Gump is a shit example, but I just like the idea that like people can watch that movie and then be like, oh my god, it's like a great movie, but like you know, I mean, like he does play a retard, but like it's like, why are you whispering it? Like, just don't say it. But then like, is it, you know, weird things people do to like get around like their own psyche or something, is, and it's like you see that and it's like how do you be like, that's a great movie and like that's so cool and like blah blah blah, but then like and then it's like people, you see things in TV and you go like, yeah, that's how it should be, and then you don't carry it over,
Yeah,
you know.
right.
And it's, you know, and it's like, and oh, it was funny, and here's just a fun fact while I said while it's fresh.
Hmm.
I actually heard from Dr. Drew and have looked into it, and it's like, and retardation is like a medical term. It's not even like it's how it's always been, and so it just like was used so much that it became like, that's what, in a negative way, that's why it became an insult. But it
Right.
is an actual medical term that they use as a category. I don't think they use it anymore. I think they had to change it for like the same, you know, sort of PC kind of aspect of the whole thing. But
Yeah,
I thought that was interesting because I just learned that recently. I was like, I thought that was not related at all.
yeah, it was one of those. It's that is correct. So personally, I am I'm not a fan of the derogatory use of the word. I've actually I always tell my friends, it's like if they use them, like, please don't use that word. I don't
Right.
like there's so many other choices that you can use. Like because my dad passed away of a degenerative, if I could speak, disease called progressive supranuclear palsy. It's like
Uh-huh.
it's like the cousin to ALS.
No.
Um, and it's very rare. But anyway, because of that, especially, and just also just kind of, I hate this phrase, but like opening my eyes, like on things, like for lack of a better phrase,
Yeah, I get you.
of a lot of different, other issues. It's like there's so many better choices you can use for that word, like
Yeah.
that than that word. Don't use that. But it is a medical term. Mental
Yeah.
retardation is a medical term discussing the status of somebody's mental condition.
Yeah.
And it's like in that regard, yeah, sure, like
Yeah.
go ahead and use that. But if
Yeah.
you're gonna
Sign the
use,
forms.
yeah, if you're gonna, like, if we're talking medically, go ahead. But if you just, or if we're talking socially and you want to use that term to put somebody down because of how their brain is, you can turn around and walk away. We don't have to
Yeah.
have this discussion because
Oh yeah.
you don't want us to have this discussion.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's just like that goes with like I feel like that's a pretty solid kind of way a lot of people are because a lot of it is all of it is knowing your company because
Mhm.
obviously if you're by yourself there's no one around to offend and it's
Sure.
not like you are what it's not like you are and so it's like whatever and so it's and then one of the weird things about society is like the actual answer to a lot of things is if there's something in your life that makes you uncomfortable or that you don't like or something, you either have to change it or come to peace with it. I think
Mhm.
it's just the gist, but it's like
Yeah.
it is like yeah, because you can't just sit around and be mad about it, then act like you wanted to change and do nothing, whatever. And so it's it's that whole thing.
Right.
And I think that we're in a state where, in general, um, you have people who have realized, you have people who have come up without um, an abusive background, whether it be being called something or like having something used against them, and so then like I think the most prominent one is just the use of the N word. It's like
Mhm.
obviously if you're white you shouldn't say it, but
Right.
then there's a lot of weird instances around that because it's like used in the most one of the most popular kinds of music so frequently
Mhm.
that like yeah you reach a broad audience and then like people who aren't that can are like are they not like you get weird on that one because it's like yeah they can enjoy the music and if it's part of the music then it's like that's just part of it, that's what they put in the song, it's like they put that out for everyone to hear and it's like they know how people are with music, they get into it, sing along, whatever it might be. At the same time it's like again knowing your company, if you're not around people who would be okay with you just like saying it, whether or not it's just because you're going along with the lyrics or whatever, it's
Mhm.
like well then you just shouldn't say it, but at the same but it's there's like it's like and I'm not the judge on it, this is just all like kind of like how I have deciphered the information that I've taken in,
Mhm.
and so I'm like and so I just it's that's why the only reason I ever bring it up so I can like just kind of discuss it and I can try to figure out what the answer is because I feel like ultimately, whether it be that or the R word or other people, Tom Segura, Christina P. call it TikTok. Um, whatever. It's just like yeah, it's like when it comes to these certain things, it's like yeah, it's like ultimately it is just a word. It's just the context,
Mhm.
and like not everybody has that kind of mindset due to their upbringing to be able to let those things go off because it's like ultimately that doesn't affect you in your life because it's just sounds coming out of somebody's face, and it's like they mean nothing to you. They will never. Most people you will never ever see again in your life, and so it's like it can only get to you as much as you let it. But on the other hand, it's like we have like that's not really how everybody's brain works. A lot of people are brought up with trauma, different things that make them react differently to certain words or certain behaviors or certain like blah blah blah, like whatever it is. And so that's the hardest part to work around, because you're like, well, I don't want to act like I'm blaming you or like shaming you or something for feelings, because it's like it's valid and you have these things. It's just a matter of like, are you dealing with those things, or are you just like taking them out on other people? It's just there's a lot of kind of lane. There's a lot of lanes that I'm trying to figure that just varies between everybody. It's like, so when it comes to like the N word, R word, I'm like, you know what? Either everyone can say it or nobody can say it. But I think we have a much better chance of like getting used to people saying it and letting them get it out of their system than they just won't say it after a while, because there's no way in hell everyone's going to stop saying it. Because like some of the most popular people in the world love saying it, and they get other people to say it. And then some people grew up saying it, so they're not going to change. It's just like, I don't know. I don't fucking know what the answer is. I just think it's like there's a lot to be figured out still. But also I also feel like there's like anybody who hears me say any of that is gonna be like, you're a fucking white dude, shut the fuck up, like you shouldn't be saying it. I agree. Like I'm definitely I am not the spokesperson. Like I said, this is just my thought process, because I just want to understand, and so I'm not going to overstep my boundaries. But I just like that's all my goal is to understand.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's me. You know what I mean? But we have I think we've been going a little over an hour here.
Wow, time flies when you're having fun.
It really does, man. That's what I like. I love. That's why I like doing this. And then it's almost like meditative. You just like talk about stuff, and you realize people are thinking a lot of the same things you are. It helps.
Yeah.
And all that. But yeah, man. You got the EP coming out. Go ahead and remind everybody about where and when to get that first and foremost.
Yeah. So So Home by the Zachary Daniels Band. That comes out digitally on December 12th. Pretty much right away in the morning. Spotify, iTunes. You can find it on our Bandcamp.
Nice.
ZacharyDanielsBand.bandcamp.com. And pretty much anywhere digital music can be found. And here pretty soon, by the time you're listening to this, it may already be out, in terms of not the EP, but we're going to be having a Spotify, like a pre-save link coming out in the next day, where people can you can like, just like it sounds, you can pre-save it if you're a Spotify user, so that way when it releases you don't have to dig it up, you don't have to search for anything. It just will pop up right on your playlist. Real convenient. It's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
And but otherwise, yeah, you can find it anywhere digital music is found. Because of the lack of shows and everything, we're not really having very many physical copies made. We're not going to have any to sell right now. We will have more made up, as hopefully when shows come back, whenever that is. Or if people really, 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 really want a physical copy and there's enough interest, we could probably have some made. But
right,
otherwise,
yeah,
otherwise you'd be able to buy it digitally off of Bandcamp or iTunes or whatever. Pick your poison.
Yeah, who's buying CDs anymore, people? Go ahead, guys, download it digitally. Save yourself the trouble.
I buy CDs still. I love a physical copy, but
it is fun getting them. Yeah,
I know a lot of people do the digital downloads more often.
Even Best Buy stopped selling DVDs and CDs and whatever.
Oh yeah, that's right, they did.
Yeah, no, that is something I missed though. But even when they were, it was like they had gotten boring, because there used to be like art booklets and like whether it be like lyrics or some shit in the case. Mm-hmm. So it got boring, but now it just phased out. But Yeah. Other than that, where can they follow? Where can they follow you on social media and everything?
So social media, you can find us on Facebook, Zachary Daniels Band. I think the URL is like Zachary Daniels Iowa or something like that.
Cool.
You can find us on Instagram, Zachary Daniels Music, and that as far as and then there's our Bandcamp and stuff like that. If you count that as social media, which I already mentioned that before, ZacharyDanielsBand.bandcamp.com. You can also find our previous album, Evolve, on the Bandcamp as well, and along with Spotify and all that places. But social media wise, our two biggest ones are Facebook and Instagram. You could send us a message there to either one. We'll get back to you. I run most of our social media, so you'll probably hear from me. But yeah, we try to be pretty active on there. Post a lot of
Definitely.
like we do
That's the way to be.
memes and live streams and anything else that rhymes with eames there.
all kinds of grand schemes.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, we are also so that's perfect. Go check all that out. I also agree. Twitter sucks. That is probably the worst one of them all.
I'm just too wordy of a person for Twitter. I respect people who can use Twitter properly. I can't, even with their increase in characters. I'm not very good with it.
Oh yeah, no, it's not for me. It's like, yeah, short, sweet, whatever. But then it goes on, and then people still do threads, and it's just like a whole bunch of posts all together. It's like, yeah, this isn't the right platform for that, and it's whatever. But I mean, we are on. We got our website up right now. We'll be on the streaming platform soon. I just got to get it all squared away, figured out.
Sure.
And so www.theycamefromtheunderground.com. And we are also still on SoundCloud. We will have this. I'll have this episode out soon. I'll let you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then just send me if you want to send me some MP3s of your music. That if you want to have anything specific as the intro, I can put your music on here, so that way people can hear it like a little snippet.
Okay.
And then like as a short little intro, and then a little bit play us out at the end, and then people can have a taste of what you sound like.
Sure.
Send me a picture to put on as the cover for the podcast episode. But yeah, I think that should about cover it. And then we don't have any more live shows coming up right now. We're just gonna see how all the lockdown and curfew goes for a while, and then plan on a second one after that. But you're more than welcome to come by and be a musical guest on one of those sometime. It's a very fun show. Got all kinds of special surprises that we had come in today or on that day, and so. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of They Came From The Underground. Well, thank you very much to Zachary Daniels for coming out, and I will see everybody next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.